What's up, YouTube, and welcome back to the channel. Today it's Tuesday, which means another vendor reset. This week we're going to go through all the items that I think are worth purchasing or that I would actually purchase, which there's a decent amount, starting off right here in the beginning at the White House with the mechanical animal. Named item, the two cores are pretty good, pretty high up there, above half. Your regular attribute is not only damage to armor, but it's at the 5 out of 6% required. And this weapon comes with your talent Future Perfection. Weapon kills grant +1 skill tier for 19 seconds, stacks up to 3 times. Weapon kills at skill tier 6 grant overcharge for 15 seconds. And you have a cooldown every 90. Overcharge cooldowns every 90 seconds. So obviously this is a fantastic weapon. You have your pretty much your perfect talent, and then you also have I just realized I'm actually calling it perfect future perfection. I don't know, funny. You have your damage to armor as your attribute. You would probably maybe bring the health damage up to max, or even change the damage to armor to damage to targets out of cover. But regardless, this is still a fantastic assault rifle, and a named one at that, to get to start off. Next up, you actually have your Police M4, another great assault rifle that isn't a named item or has anything special to it. It's just a great assault rifle, yet still one of the hardest to find. The only issue with purchasing this one is you have a very low core attribute of health damage, and then you have your talent Perpetuation, which headshots grant plus 50% status effect damage and duration to the next status effect you apply. So it's like a little iffy, because what if you're not running a build with this weapon that's not focused on status effects, and at the same time you kind of maybe want to bring that health damage attribute up because it's pretty low. It's pretty much at half. So I'm not too sure. This might be worth it, let's say if you are running a status effect build, or if you don't really care for the health damage and you just want to change the talent, by all means go for it. But our next items are actually going to be a countdown, not the countdown vendor, which they're not all, I would say, necessarily worth it. You could probably find better ones, but countdown's so easy to farm that, why not? And the first one is the marksman rifle, the commando. All the attributes are pretty high. I would probably change the optimal range to something a little better, and then I would use the talent right here, perfectly naked. Hitting an enemy with no armor grants plus 50% headshot damage for 8 seconds. So obviously just full killing all your enemies that are pretty much cracked with their armor. Next up is the electric backpack, one of the newer backpacks, but I'm not sure about the attributes here. I feel like this item you can definitely find a better one if you just farm countdown with the electric, or the electric gear set as like your targeted loot. But the glory days is the next one, and again your cores are too low. I probably wouldn't get these, but I'll usually recommend it because they're name items, and if you want to bring up that proficiency, it's here. It's just easy, easy to bring it up, purchase it, throw it on something, and you'll have it up in no time. Next up, we're going up to the clan vendor. Now at the clan vendor, we have probably the best item in the vendor reset, which is the White Death. As you can see, it's almost god rolled once you max out that core attribute or possibly change your talent. That's where it becomes weird, but the marksman rifle damage is pretty high. You probably only need maybe 2 to 3 optimization rolls. Optimization is expensive, but this would be worth it because you have your max headshot damage, which is the special attribute for this weapon. Then you have a maxed out damage to targets out of cover, and this comes with your talent Sledgehammer. Dealing damage with the grenade applies a mark on target. Targets with mark will take 30% more damage to armor and have a negative 20% movement speed. Mark will disappear after 10 seconds. This would obviously work with this weapon, but at the same time you might want to change it. Who knows? It depends on really the build that you're running. So regardless, this is a fantastic buy here. Next up are our gear sets, which they're all pretty good. They're all about halfway. Your weapon damage for your gloves on tip of the spear, your knee pads on the weapon damage. You would probably maybe switch out the regular attributes because the cores are pretty good. They're pretty high up there, and you would have a maxed regular attribute and pretty good cores. Along with your Eclipse protocol, which you never really need to change your core. You just switch out the regular attribute for something maxed that you have in your library, and you're good to go. And one more item here that we have actually is the Police M4. Again, the only thing with this Police M4 is your assault rifle damage is pretty low, and you would need to be running something where your build might revolve around skill repair, because your talent is reformation. Headshots grant plus 30% skill repair for 15 seconds. You would probably want to switch the talent out if you're not running a skill repair build, because that assault rifle damage is pretty low. But regardless, like I said before, the Police M4 is a great buy. Now, I would maybe get this right here with the headshot damage if you need that in your library, although it's actually a pretty good shotgun. The only thing is you could probably find something, just better shotguns overall, like the rock and roll, or even maybe the lefty. I have a few shotguns that I would definitely use probably over the Marine Super 90, but it's still pretty good shotgun. You would probably keep that talent steady handed, or switch it out and you max out that shotgun damage, and you have a great shotgun. But now the last 3 items are only on my list because they're named items, and obviously named items being a little harder to find than regular items, so it's a little harder to bring up that proficiency, especially through donations and just kind of farming them. And there's pretty much one in each location of the settlements. The first settlement, the campus, has the new reliable, but all of these attributes are pretty low, and new reliable comes with our talent perfectly optimized, which is plus 30% weapon handling. Just overall, you always have it. Obviously not a bad thing, especially for an LMG, but those attributes are pretty low. You switch one out, you're only going to have one maxed out attribute, and the others will definitely cost a good chunk of change on optimization. You're probably better off farming Countdown for all 3 of these that we're going through right now, and you'll definitely get better ones. So yeah, the campus, new reliable, a good one.
Always a pleasure.
And then next up is here at the theater, which is the Baker's Dozen, but again, some pretty low attributes. Critical hit damage is below half. That's probably the one you would want to max out. Actually, and if you max it out, this would actually not be a bad weapon. But like I said, optimization's expensive, so that rifle damage to targets out of cover, it'll probably cost you a decent chunk of change. But this comes with our talent, perfect lucky shot. Magazine capacity is increased by 30%. Missed shots from cover have a 100% chance to return to the magazine. So if you miss a shot, it's right back in the mag. So you'll pretty much always be doing damage. And this last item here in the castle is Ekim's long stick, which comes with a talent perfect ranger. Amplifies weapon damage by 2% for every 4 meters you are away from your target. But like before, these attributes are pretty low. They'll be pretty expensive to bring them up. Let's say if you don't want that rate of fire, you want to switch it out for something else, you'll have that maxed, but now you got to spend a lot to max out your core attributes. So those are all the main, let's say, pieces of gear that you can use. But the last thing that is pretty useful to buy is over at NYC, and that item is the first wave PF45. I would get this mostly for that attribute, max damage to armor. Obviously a fantastic attribute. You need this in your library if you don't have it for all your weapons, especially this, and damage to targets out of cover. Probably the best attribute you can get, unless you're running a build where you might need particular attributes to compensate for certain things. But that is all we have for Tuesday vendor reset. Comment down below, let me know if you think I've missed anything. Let me know if there's any of these items that you will actually purchase or did purchase that you felt were really good. And yeah, till the next one, see you.